Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today, we are going to be talking about your childhood and how the IC line and the fourth house can tell us about what your childhood was like. And before we get started with this video, feel free to leave a thumbs up, leave a comment. I always love feedback, and subscribe if you would like. I'm also on TikTok at Ethan B. Paisley. Okay. So recently I made a video about the ascendant in astrology. Now, the ascendant is the zodiac sign that sets up all zodiac placements in your chart. So the way that you find out your ascendant sign is by knowing the time you were born and putting that into astro.com, any of the various astrology websites out there. Knowing your time of birth gives you an accurate ascendant, which gives you an accurate IC line or fourth house, which is what we're talking about today. So in my last video, I described how the ascendant sort of tells us naturally how we are, right? But the philosophy of astrology could say that this was who our soul intended us to be. But another philosophy of astrology is that we're just born at these random times where these, cosmic energies align and can sort of predict or give us a sense of how coming into the world might be for us. And so the ascendant, in other words, what I'm getting at is the ascendant, the natural us, isn't completely natural. It is created, right? The authentic self that we're all on a journey to seek is an amalgamation of all of our learned experiences. And the fourth house in astrology represents the family. So where do we learn most of our knowledge from? From our families, right? And then we have to get out into the world and we have to figure out, why does what my family taught me not match what other people are saying, and how do I want to change? So today we're going to be looking at the fourth house and the IC line, and arguably this is, to me, one of the most important areas to look at to better understand your ascendant and thus your whole birth chart, because how you were raised, right, is really your blueprint when you are an adult. This is what we're going off. So we're going to go sign by sign, and we're going to start with, if you have an Aries ascendant, you are going to have a Cancer ilium coli line or fourth house. So we're going to start with Aries rising. We'll go sign by sign. Keep in mind that your rising sign does determine your fourth house or IC line, does determine the sign that kind of rules childhood and family themes. So hopefully that makes sense. So Aries rising is going to have Cancer on the IC line. So when we have Cancer on the IC line, what this tells us is that we had parents who were likely dominant. Dominant because Cancer thrives in the family, right? Cancer is the mother, it's the protector. So this implies a very overprotective parent, perhaps a dominant mother figure. The other possibility with Cancer on the IC is that because Cancer rules family, it could feel like you were longing for a family when you were a kid, like you were very disconnected from your family in some way, and perhaps your mom you were specifically disconnected with. But the other way this could go is that you were so connected, or your parents were so attached to you, that you might be very dependent on your family for advice and for structure. On the contrary, your family could have been so distant that you were always trying to do things to get their attention, but you never could. And if we think about Aries ascendant, which has this placement, an Aries ascendant is naturally bold and assertive and all these things. So that could mean that your family encouraged you to be that way, or your family wasn't that way, so you had to become that way to get your needs met. Okay? So the next sign we're going to talk about is Leo on the ilium coli, which means you have a Taurus ascendant. Leo on the ilium coli, or the fourth house, means that you were the apple of your parents' eye, perhaps. You were sort of the star in your family. Perhaps you were an only child. That's a possibility. But this implies a childhood that maybe wasn't perfect, but where you were treated pretty well, where your parents really wanted the best for you. Maybe they didn't always do a good job, but your parents may have been your biggest fans. Now, we can also counter this with this idea that your parents didn't give you enough attention, and so you were sort of performing for attention, right? Both could be true. Now, the Taurus ascendant is somebody who seeks security, who seeks stability, who kind of likes their things. I have a feeling this is because having Leo on the IC, maybe they were spoiled with these things. Maybe they were promised these things, or maybe they were denied them. They had to perform for them. And then that made them extra, extra wanting of the things perhaps they were denied. So, Leo and Taurus both tend to be kind of more materialistic signs or signs that sort of have a lot of needs. So that could mean that either you were spoiled slightly, spoiled is a negative word, but you know what I mean, given a lot. And so you sort of expected a lot as you got older, hence the Taurus ascendant Leo IC connection. Okay. The next IC I want to talk about is Virgo, and this is if you have Gemini on the ascendant. So Virgo in the fourth house or on the IC means that you likely had a parent or parents who were quite critical, quite judgmental. Maybe parents who just had sort of an idea of what you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to go. And the Gemini ascendant is sort of you maybe questioning those ideas, questioning what your parents gave you or told you. Mercury rules, in this case, the ascendant and the IC. So Mercury is about thinking. You could have been raised to, maybe with the Virgo on the IC, think sort of one way. But the Gemini rising is like, I wonder about the other way. So your relationship thus with information could be a little bit tricky, maybe even learning. This also suggests just a person whose family with Virgo on the IC, perhaps cares a lot about education, could care a lot about health, could be very health conscious or even beauty conscious, could be something like a parent who's very concerned with like appearances and things like that. And the Gemini rising is sort of, maybe looking to question, because even though Gemini and Virgo are both ruled by Mercury, Gemini is a little bit more inquisitive. Virgo is a little bit more dogmatic. So there could be this tension between your parents saying it's one way and you being like, but I think it could be this way or this way. So this sort of creates a rebellious spirit. When we think Virgo, we think sort of these extremes between perfection and like rebellion. Because a lot of Virgos I know, actually, surprisingly, like some of them are like very like, but other Virgos I know are like total rebels and like just reject all social norms. So take that with what you will. Okay, so the next IC fourth house placement I'm going to talk about is a Libra IC, and this is for Cancer rising. Okay, so with Libra on the IC and in the fourth house, this means that you likely experienced a home where, well, there could be a couple different scenarios that'll play out here. One is that you had parents who were very loving, almost so loving to the point where it was like a codependent relationship, like, oh my God, if they're not happy, then I can't be happy, sort of thing. And I think this actually is probably very prominent for this placement, because with Cancer on the ascendant, it naturally makes you a little bit codependent. It makes you a little bit reliant on like other people's moods being okay for you to be able to be okay. So there's a little bit of that push and pull. The other thing that could happen with Libra on the IC is that there was some sort of injustice in your family. There was something that, maybe made you feel like justice wasn't served. And so, and by the way, I'm going to add this in here. Your IC in your fourth house isn't just limited to your childhood. It's how you experience family throughout the rest of your life. That is actually a very important point. So with Libra on the IC, it's like you could always be searching for the injustice, in the household, trying to correct the injustice. Once again, very, very much like Cancer, where it's like, let's make sure everyone's being treated and no one's feelings are getting hurt. So as much as this could have been a very beautiful childhood, it also sort of could have felt like things were shaky. And so you had to sort of be the peacemaker, or you sort of had to be the one to settle all indifference. Okay. All right. The next IC fourth house placement we're going to talk about is Scorpio on the ilium coli. And this is for a Leo ascendant. So Leo ascendant is somebody who stands out. Leo ascendant is somebody who's bright and sunny and probably a big personality, right? What's interesting about the connection between Leo ascendant and the Scorpio IC is that the Scorpio IC suggests that maybe you were a bit of an outcast at one point. Maybe you were made to feel like you were very different from your family, like you are just, sort of this freak. And you can be a freak for a lot of different reasons. Scorpio rules a lot of different domains. One, of course, connected to Leo could be like the arts and being just like a big personality and a little bit more intense maybe than your family members. Another thing could be that you, with the Leo ascendant, with the Scorpio IC, is that you might possess a quality that your family is scared to face. This is a little bit of the black sheep, okay? Because Scorpio is about death and rebirth. Scorpio signifies when something in us needs to sort of die so that the deeper part of us can grow. And I think that with a Leo ascendant, who is a luminary, who is a person who exposes kind of everything, it makes sense that Scorpio is on the IC because it could be exposing also all the family patterns that need to die and be reborn. So Leo ascendants could also sort of experience this feeling in family where they're a little bit like maybe always the drama, or maybe they're managing drama, or they're just around people who have a lot of healing to do. And it's because the healing that their family hasn't done is now falling upon them. Obviously, we all have to work to sort of redo family patterns, but with a Leo ascendant, this could be significant. Okay, so now let's talk about what are we on? Sagittarius, Ilium Coli, 4th house, and this is for a Virgo ascendant. Okay, so Sagittarius on the IC in the 4th house suggests parents who may have been, well, Sagittarius rules foreign lands and travel, so they could have been a little bit distant. They could have been a little bit avoidant. They could have been really fun, really eccentric, really even well educated, or just a lot of ideas. The thing about Sagittarius is authority. We think of Capricorn as authority, and Capricorn is authority in a sort of different domain, but Sagittarius is sort of it's fire, so it's about self. Fire's about self. So fire, authority, it's a little bit like self-importance, right? So your parents could have been slightly self-important, maybe a little bit dogmatic, since Sagittarius also rules the sharing of information. So, your parents saying, well, this is how it works and this is how it goes. The reason I mention control and authority here is because Virgo falls on the ascendant, and Virgo ascendants specifically struggle with control, struggle with trying to like do the right thing by their parents. And if we think of Sagittarius as authority, then it means that there's a deep root there where there is maybe an issue with authority, or with an authority figure maybe abusing that power, or not even abusing, that sounds really, really dark, but an authority figure who just may have made you think a lot of things were true, but they're actually not true. This is the thing about Sagittarius, and Sagittarius has to sort of work to sort of dispel its own conclusions. It struggles with assuming that things are true and just saying, well, this is the way it is, and not really opening up to the facts. So with this on the IC, it could have created sort of this power struggle of information. I think that should make sense. Okay. Next, for a Libra rising, we're going to talk about Capricorn on the IC. So this is an interesting one. Capricorn on the IC, or the 4th house, means that you likely had parents who had big expectations of you. Parents who probably modeled to you, strength and discipline and morals. There could have just been a lot of pressure to succeed, to keep things good, to keep appearances really good. The Libra rising learns from this that, life could be about the way things look. As long as I'm happy, things are good. As long as the outside looks good, I'm good. Because this is what Capricorn's also concerned with. It's about building structures. The struggle of Libra rising is going, wait. There's something wrong with this structure, right? Like, there's something wrong with this authority. There's something wrong here. And until Libra rising acknowledges that maybe the structures imposed onto them by their parents, the things that were forced upon them were kind of from a place of fear and scarcity, can Libra rising sort of recreate or redefine what success means to them? Because Capricorn kind of deals with themes of scarcity. So in your childhood, oh, we don't have enough money. Oh, you don't have enough experience. Oh, you need to go to school or do the thing, and that's going to make you smarter. That's going to help you more down the line. Not necessarily. So these are all things to keep in mind with this placement. Okay, so moving on to what are we on? Scorpio rising with an Aquarius IC. This is a fun one. So if you have Aquarius on the IC in the fourth house, this means that you likely had an unconventional childhood. Maybe your parents were eccentrics. Maybe you didn't even know your parents. Maybe your parents were, I don't know, absent. This is a different kind of childhood because Aquarius is all about things that are done differently. But Aquarius is also about the collective good. So there could have been this sort of theme of like, maybe you were raised by more than just one person. Maybe you were raised in a community or a collective, and therefore you want to live communally as you get older because you're feeling like, like that's what's safe, being around a lot of people and sort of just, having people around. But Aquarius is also likes its alone time, so you also could like living alone. One doesn't cancel out the other. But the idea too with Aquarius on the IC, sort of coming out of Capricorn, is it's like doing the right thing is a big part of this. A focus on people, a focus on others, a focus on selflessness, a focus on, doing what is right. And so with the Scorpio with the Scorpio ascendant, it means that maybe we have denied ourselves selfish pleasures or things that our family would call selfish, and we've not really let ourselves experience life fully. So we find ourselves in this place where we're like, well, but I was taught to think of everyone else, but what about me? And I'm unhappy, and now I feel all weird. Aquarius IC, this is a very interesting one because Aquarius is a very complex sign. It kind of rules over a lot of things. It also could just describe, a cold family member, somebody who's just cold, somebody who just was not emotional, because Scorpio is a person who shoves down emotions, doesn't deal with emotions unless they absolutely have to come out. So with an Aquarius IC, it's like, we're not talking about that. And then the Scorpio IC sort of holds all that emotion in escrow, and then that emotion just flows out like a volcano one day. So your parents could have been really cool. You could really like Aquarius is cool, right? But they could have also been cold. So think about that. Okay. Next, I want to talk about Sagittarius rising with Pisces on the ilium coli in the fourth house. So Pisces in the fourth house means a couple different things. Pisces means, creativity, means imagination. It means freedom. But Pisces is also a perfectionist. And the thing about Pisces being a perfectionist is the way it's a perfectionist is, even though it's a mutable sign, I really feel like Pisces don't thrive under change. Mutable signs are supposed to thrive under change. Pisces thinks everything is perfect as it is, and it doesn't want to face the hard stuff always, because it would mean it would just break apart. So naturally, you have like a huge capacity for empathy, a huge capacity for imagination, deep compassion for your family. You hear out your family, but at the same time, there could be this thing of like, I don't really want to look at the thing that's going on. I don't really want to deal with their stuff. Pisces is about the collective mind. Pisces is about collective healing. So this could almost feel a little bit like, wow, like Pisces sees, it's like, I see all the things that my family needs to heal, but I feel a little bit complacent about it because if I touch that, it means I'm part of that. So I don't really want to go there. But at the same time, you are very much emotionally affected by it because Pisces are very much emotionally affected by it, but Pisces also rules escapism. So there could have been really hard things that happened in your childhood, but then you just looked the other way and you escaped. You found a way to escape, whether that was through art, imagination, alcohol, just any way of checking out. And Sagittarius sort of picks up that responsibility by making constant life changes. Oh, I don't want to do that because that could mean this. Oh, I don't want to do that because that could mean this. So this is sort of a lifestyle of avoidance because sitting in that anxiety of the things that you saw in your childhood but avoided could come up and could sort of freak you out. So the very, beautiful part of Pisces is that it is about community and togetherness. So you're a family person. You just have to be willing, and you will have to probably go through some things that challenge those early childhood beliefs that sort of make you think, you see things all, distorted and avoided. Like, okay, that was a long one. Okay, Capricorn rising has an Aries IC in fourth house. So with this placement, Aries on the IC in the fourth house is about, this describes a family who was rather aggressive, perhaps competitive with the outside world, right? Like, the world's hard, you got to fight for what you want. This could have also suggested sort of conflict in the home, and just being sort of restless, like a kind of a restless energy, categorizing your childhood. Also, Aries has to do with kind of fighting, getting the willpower to fight for what you want. And with Aries in the IC, it could have been like you were fighting with your parents for what you want, or it felt like to get what you needed in childhood was sort of a fight. And so what do we do with Capricorn, with the Capricorn ascendant? We put off those needs. We sacrifice. We save up. We save up all those things we want for another day. And with Aries on the IC, this also, Aries deals with anger and frustration. The IC also, beyond family, deals with the deeper part of ourselves. So it's like we could just be shoving down a lot of anger. And Capricorn sort of keeps a lid on that anger. But that anger needs to come out so that we can speak up for what we want, because Capricorns are people who sort of deflect the things that they want and serve others first, always. So with that sense of service, question if it's you putting off your anger and emotions, or if it's, genuinely part of your broader mission and you expressing yourself. Because Aries is also learning self-expression. You could have also been allowed to be self-expressive and also independent, right? Like your family also could have put independence into you, but, there could have been conflict with your independence. Okay. Aquarius ascendant. This describes somebody with a Taurus IC, fourth house. I have to check myself because yes, with a Taurus IC, fourth house. Okay. So a Taurus IC, fourth house could mean that your parents kind of valued material goods. Material comfort was modeled to you. Having nice things, having physical comfort grew to be one of your values. Could be something you seek out in your home now, like having a really nice place to live, having really nice things, being secure and comfy. And this also puts somebody with a really good work ethic, because with Aquarius on the ascendant, you're like, I have to work for all that shit. Like, if I want that, I have to work. And Aquarius and Taurus are very both, strong work ethic. One of the downfalls of this placement is that with Taurus on the IC, Taurians tend to sort of be very insulated from the world. So in your childhood, you could have been very protected. You could have just been protected from information that whatever made you, your parents would deem makes you impure. And so Aquarius rising is like this rebel spirit that's like, no, I'm not going to be insulated from the world. I'm going to go experience the world. Even though Taurus on the IC kind of creates this bubble for you, you want to pop that bubble. You want to get out there and do things. So there also could have been this sort of tension or this guilt of like, oh, my parents have given me all these nice things, but I don't really want any of it. I don't really, maybe I want it, but I don't want to get it the same way they did. So See how that registers. Okay. And our last IC line, fourth house we're talking about today, is Gemini on the Ilium Co-Life fourth house for Pisces ascendant. So Gemini fourth house indicates a childhood where there was perhaps the pressure to know a lot about the world, have a lot of knowledge, stay very engaged with the world, stay very engaged with what's happening. This also could mean favoritism, because Gemini's, the twins, and it has different sides that it flip-flops between. So parents who could have been a little bit manipulative, even parents who could have chosen sides, and who could have, either you were maybe the prized child or somebody else was the prized child. And so you may have always been trying to work out equations in your head, like, why does that person get better treatment? Or, why do my parents think this way? And how do I sort of like conform my thinking to that way? So these people were taught to think in a way that would really please their family and perhaps make them the favorite, make them the center of attention. Pisces rising struggle with asserting themselves. Pisces and Gemini are both very adaptive. Pisces is very emotionally adaptive. Geminis are very mentally adaptive. So this hurts, when we think of ourselves as unworthy, or we think of ourselves as, the least favorite, or even the favorite. That can cause issues. So with the Pisces ascendant, it means that we take on the emotions of that very easily. And so we're very, very, very open to criticism. We take criticism very seriously. Somebody tells us to do something, oh my God, of course, or you did this wrong. We take on all the guilt of that. So this is a person, and I'm not prescribing anyone therapy here, but logical cognitive behavioral therapy to ask yourself, does this belief make sense? Does this actually mean that this is happening right now? Is, I think, very important for Pisces rising, because there could have just been sort of this battle of the minds happening at home, okay? And that could have just made you feel even dumb in ways, feel even dumb. Sometimes Geminis know so much that we just feel dumb. Or maybe, on the contrary, we know a lot, but we never really questioned why we thought the way we did, because eventually it ended up making us feel bad. And we're like, has it been making me feel this bad this whole time? So really working through those beliefs is important for, the Pisces ascendant. Okay, guys, I just did all the ascendants and all the ICs. So I hope you enjoyed this video, got something from it. Once again, I'm on TikTok at Ethan B. Paisley. You can subscribe here, comment, like, whatever you feel called to do. Thanks for checking this out, and I will see you guys next time. Okay.